and welcome to Many Voices, Many Visions. I'm your host, Norma Holland. This week, we'll meet an independent filmmaker whose latest work looks at the war on terror and particularly what people in Pakistan have to say about it. And Writers and Books celebrates 30 years of promoting the important role literature plays in our lives. And the group Women Helping Girls prepares for its annual quilt auction to help benefit its mentoring program. But first we begin with Mara Ahmed. She is the director of Pakistan One-on-One, a film that will be shown at the Little Theater on March 24th. She joins us this morning to talk about her film and also about her life as a filmmaker, taking a look at the relationship that Muslims have, in parts, Muslims have with Americans. And I want to begin by how you got into filmmaking, because as I understand, this was something you came into after having had another career, in fact.
Yes, I've worked in finance all my life. I have a master's in business administration, and then I have another one in economics. And so I've always worked in finance. I used to do mathematical modeling, so something very technical.
Very left-brained.
Yes, yes. And, but I've always loved art, and I've loved film, but I never thought of actually making a film. It just seemed like such a complex thing, such a difficult thing. But then in 2004, I actually decided to resign from my job, and the reason I did that was because I thought this was about time for me to go back to school and study art, which is truly my love, my passion. And so I did that. But then maybe about a year after that, I decided to make a film. And the reason was that after 9/11, I felt that the representation of Muslims in the media and of Islam, just generally speaking, was so distorted, so uninformed, that somebody really needed to show something different, a different side of the spectrum. And I said to my husband, someone has to make a film that shows something different. And then I decided to make that film myself.
And the first film that you created was called The Muslim I Know, or The Muslims I Know?
The Muslims I Know. And that was really, I mean, that's the reason I went back to school and then learned filmmaking, right, was for me to make that film. So that was the specific goal. In Pakistan
One-on-One, you seek to discuss, and you do in your film, several different topics. The war on terror, yes, what people in Pakistan, you actually went to Pakistan, yes, to ask them certain questions about what about the war on terror, what about 9/11, what about the war in the Middle East and the unrest in some of those countries. You are from Lahore, Pakistan.
Yes.
So you went home,
yes,
to do this.
Well, that's also a very interesting story, because the reason I went to Pakistan was not to shoot this film.
Okay.
This was an impromptu project.
Wow, okay.
I went to Pakistan to shoot another film, which is going to be my third one that I'll be working on next year. And that's going to be about the partition of India in 1947. And I'm going to be working on that project with an Indian filmmaker who's a friend of mine.
Wow.
And, you know, both our families had to immigrate at that time, because as you know,
yes,
India was split in two different countries, and so Hindus who were living in what now became Pakistan had to go to India, and a lot of Muslims who were now living in India, which was going to be a Hindu majority country, had to move to Pakistan. So there was this mass movement and a very traumatic event in our history. And so we wanted to investigate that, but from a very personal point of view.
I see. And I know there have been films made about this, but none that I know of from a very personal perspective.
Yes.
So while you're in Pakistan and you're visiting with family, you decide, I'm going to ask people in my community what they think about certain issues.
Well, there was a reason why I decided to do that. It's because when I went back to Pakistan, the country has changed so much, and especially I think the media are so different in Pakistan now. They're so independent, there's so many TV channels, so many news channels, and everybody in Pakistan just seemed to be a news junkie. Everybody had a political opinion on everything that was going on in the world.
Sounds like America.
Well, I think maybe even more so than America, to tell you the truth. It's just a very vibrant kind of media culture in Pakistan. And it's very different from what I had known, because I grew up in the 1980s.
Right.
And that was the time that General Ziaul Haq, who was a military dictator, was ruling Pakistan. And so there was no freedom of speech, and there was one state-owned TV channel, which was basically just spouting government propaganda 24/7. So this was just so different for me.
Yeah, and you found people that were you ask people certain questions, and you do this in the film.
Yes.
You, in particular, one young man really stood out to me about the way he answered your question, and the question was, what about America? Mm-hmm. and what about the way Americans think about the war on terror? What does he think about what we think? And this was his response. Take a look. From Pakistan.
The government has created such a picture of this region to them that the American people, I don't think they realize what a different nation this is. There are people from all spheres. You have the conservatives, just like Americans have the conservatives. There are people in America who still raise eyebrows to gay issues. There are people here who still raise eyebrows when they see a girl walking around a jeans and a t-shirt. Yet they do accept that these are changing times and these are new things that are happening in the country, and even people are getting more liberal here in Pakistan as well. We aren't all AK-47 holding, shalwar kameez wearing, bearded, turban terrorists, and that is the image I think they need to get out of. Because of 9/11, they are so afraid that their emotions have constantly been played with this 9/11 issue. I don't blame them for thinking this way, because one catastrophe in their country was shaded in such a way that their minds have totally jammed on one thing.
Wow, he is so honest about how he feels, and he's in a where you were outside in a park. I mean,
yes.
Whoa, how times have changed. He's able to say what he thinks to you, a relative stranger, without fear of retaliation. That is really a different time, isn't it? It is a different time there.
It's a different time, and also I think it shows how different Muslim countries are different, because I think that's another thing that the media do in this country, is that they tend to lump all Muslim countries together and all Muslims together and talk about Islam as if it was a monolith. But Islam is very different, very, very cosmopolitan, very diverse. And in Pakistan, the environment is actually extremely free. Like you're saying, I mean, I can go and shoot any film I want and talk to anyone I want, and people speak very fearlessly.
Okay. You're gonna be speaking fearlessly about your film here in Rochester at the Little Theater on March 24th at 6:30. Mara will be screening her film, Pakistan One-on-One film screening. You're gonna be talking, will you be talking to the audience? Will you be able to take questions from them?
Yes, because I think the film is so thought-provoking that we had to have a discussion afterwards. So we have a panel of 4 people who will be there at the Little, and they will kind of engage with the audience, and I'm sure we're going to have a very interesting discussion.
I can only imagine that it will be, and one that certainly I think our community really needs, and America needs to have.
Absolutely.
When you hear about what's happening here in the United States, and this is a sorely needed discussion. So, Mara, thank you for being brave enough to kind of, shake the dust off of things that we really need to discuss.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. We'll be right back after this. We're going to talk to the folks from Writers and Books celebrating 30 years here in Rochester. We'll be right back.